All right, so I just literally just jumped onto here now. I've been like busy as all hell today. I'm looking at Palantir. I'm gonna go into that right now with 8,000 shares. Just see make a quick trade. It's 3:08, 14 seconds, and today is the 4th. So it's 3:08. This is live for me. So let's see what happens. I think it's gonna make the break of high of 131. So that's what I'm hoping for. Just something quick, I didn't have time to trade at all this morning. I was locked up big time with work and other business. So let's see how this does. So I'm in it for 73, 130.73. It's trading at 82. So let's see if it catches a bid on this thing and makes me a few bucks on here. So that's what we're hoping for. Nothing great, If it can break past 131, I'll be really happy about that. But like I said, I'm not looking to make a ton of money off this. Usually I never trade this late, but I didn't do anything this morning and I just wanted to get a quick trade into this. It could go south on me. There could be a fade on this thing. You never know. But I have a strong feeling it's been chugging up nicely. We want to hope this thing, going into the last hour here is going to gain some momentum and you'll see a nice positive swing up there. So that's what I'm hoping for. Next thing I'm going to talk about after this, I'm break even. So next thing I want to talk about is, obviously I'm using a ton of leverage. I'm using more leverage than most people are allowed to. I'm able to take 25 times whatever capital I put into my account. So, and basically scale that up. And the reason why is obviously, when you find the right bank and they allow you to go to the market directly, with this software that I use, it allows you to have pure execution without any middleman whatsoever. So, one of the things I talk about is, a lot of people like to trade on quote unquote free, no commission sites and stuff like that. And listen, don't get me wrong, they have great platforms, they give you a lot of great tools, but you're paying for that. Promise you this much that you're paying for that. If you think you're not paying for that platform and paying for it in a big, big way, then you're as foolish as possible. No matter how you put it, you're going to pay for it. There's no two ways around it. There's nobody who works for free in this world. I promise you that much. And especially big banks, no big bank is going to say, hey, yeah, let's not make money. How do you think, these big banks make their money? Oh, Schwab, how do they make their money? Oh, they're good guys. They invest their money and that's how they make their money. No, that's not how they make their money. They make money off of every person who's doing investing, every company, everything. Okay. So every trade that's executed, they're making a profit off of. All right. So don't think for 1 second that you're not paying for your stock. It might not show you the commission that you paid, but I will show you a video of a company that says, I think it was called Tasty Trades, and they basically said that they don't charge you a commission, but then when you dig into it, you realize there's between zero point 0.5 and 0.75 basis points spread that they're making their money off of. Now, zero point 0.5 and 0.75, if you can do the math on that, that's literally robbing you left and right. Okay, they're not charging a commission, but they're taking the basis point spread. So how do you figure out the basis point spread? Is that since they're looking at it, they're basically holding that stock in there, and between 77 and 78, 76 and 77, there will always be a spread. It'll never be 77, 77. So if you go to sell right here, you would get 77 cents. Even though you could have maybe gotten 78 or 79 or 80 or 81. If you go to buy, guaranteed you will always buy the highest price that's available. Guaranteed. No two ways around it. If you go to sell, you will always get the lowest price available on that trade. The difference is that they're looking at the spread and saying, okay, and you got to remember, it's not a person doing this. So, be very, very cognizant of that. It's not a person sitting there saying, oh, there's an 82, let me get an 86. Okay. This is all done by algorithms. So, right now, your trade goes in there, and now they're like, okay, he wants to sell, let's give him an 84. Okay. Because that's what's available right now. But we can cover that trade with an 86. Instantaneously, they make 2 cents on that trade. Instantaneously. Okay, so on this 200 shares, 300 shares, 400 shares, they'll sell you an 85 and they'll cover with an 87, and vice versa. Okay, they're making a penny, 2 cents, 3 cents possibly, depending on how much the spread is on every single share. Okay, doesn't seem like a lot, but guess what? When you have somebody that's doing 10 million shares in a day, times that by a penny or 2 cents, guess what? That's one stock. Okay. So now, you go in there and you take 10 million shares, okay, and you get a penny off of every share. Guess what? That's a huge amount of money. Huge amount of money. Okay. So right here, I just put in an order for 8,000 shares. Okay. Times 0.01. Times 1 cent. If it was times 10 cents, I would pay $800 in fees. But since it's times 0.01, let me get up there. All right. So here it is. So I bought 8,000 shares. Okay. So 8,000 shares times 0.01. Do the math. All right. I'm paying $80 in fees. As opposed to 10 cents in shares, I would pay $800 in fees. $1, I would pay $8,000 in fees. So I'm paying $80 in fees if I was going through somebody else. Meanwhile, by going direct to market, I'm paying 0.0001. I'm paying literally 8 cents for that 8,000 shares as opposed to $80. So right now, if I would have went to TD Ameritrade, Schwab, I would pay $80. You wouldn't see it, but that's exactly how much I would have paid, because 100% they would have made at least a penny on this trade, at least, possibly 2 cents. That's $160. Okay. Whereas if you're going direct to market, you are getting the exact bid that's available. There's no cheating you whatsoever. And I'm not saying it's cheating, it's just a spread, okay? People have to make money, companies have to make money. I don't think it's fair the way they look at it and say, oh yeah, we're not charging you a commission. Guess what? They are charging you a commission. It's a spread. There used to be firms out there and they used to sell pink sheets. And the pink sheets, they used to tell you all the time, and they were big, and they were all scam firms, and what they would do is, oh yeah, the stock's trading at $10, $5, and they were all penny stocks, you know what I'm saying? But they wouldn't tell you it's 5 by 3. So 5 by 3 would basically say, yeah, you know what, if you go to sell immediately, you're going to get $3. Exactly. If you went to sell a minute after you bought it, you would get $3. But what they don't tell you is they're selling at 5. Okay, the stock's trading at 3 if they go to sell it, but guess what? The broker who sold you that would make 50% of that commission between the 3 and the 5. So if you bought 2,000 shares, guess what? You're making $1 off of every share, and the firm keeps the other $1. So that's how these brokers were making a ton of money. It didn't take a lot of suckers to make the money, but that's how they were making a ton of money. And you would go in there with $5,000, whatever it might be. And that spread might be a little extreme. I openly admit that. Okay. I don't know, factually how much the spreads were, but I know some of the spreads were tremendous. I would talk to friends of mine that worked it there. There were firms called Investor Center. There were firms called Stuart James, Power Securities, It's an endless stream of brokers that were out there, and they were all scams. You know what I'm saying? Stuart James was the one that did the first Jersey bonds out in New Jersey, and they were a scam that went belly up. Investor Center, not First Fidelity, another company. I don't remember all of them, but there was a ton of them out there, and they would do the same thing over and over again. They would underrate a company that was absolutely worthless, and by being worthless, they would just basically take it and say, okay, let's just drive this stock up. Supply and demand. That's all it is. Based on this supply and demand, we're going to make it go to $10. It's, 8 by 10, 7 by 10, whatever it's going to be. They made the price and they made the bullshit. Okay. So this stock is going south on me. Like I said, it could have been a fade, and that's what I was wary of. This was not an AAA plus setup. This was just, I wanted to do something so I can get a video up there. And unfortunately, I'm going to lose money. So this video, I could have hired a professional team of people to shoot a professional video for me. So this was absolutely stupid. Not stupid. Listen, if I made money, it would have been great. If I lose money, it's bad. But this was a trade that wasn't thought out. This was just something I gambled on. I wanted to throw some money at it and see if I could make some cash. I was up 1,000, but I was expecting it to break the 131. I still expect it to break 131. Right now, I'm only out of the money by 40 cents, 50 cents. So I'm not out of the money by a lot. 40 cents is not a tremendous amount for this stock to move. If it breaks down below 130, I'm going to be gone and I'll take the loss on this one. But like I said, 40 cents is not a real problem to lose. But if it gets below 130, at that point, I'm going to call it a loser and say it's going to fade the rest of the day. I do see that it's starting to close out the candle. It was a top head on this one right now. It's starting to go above its 50-day moving average. So it's looking good. So it's starting to bounce back up. Like I said, hopefully this starts to capitulate. It's consolidating at this level. So it hit over here, which is right around where its support level is. But let's just see, is that support going to become resistance right now, or will it turn around? So it's right there. I can't tell you one way or the other because, like I said, we got to see what it's going to do. Right now, it's just hanging out there. And like I said, this could give me an L, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I don't like it, but I'm perfectly fine with it. So right now, it's starting to dip down again, and this could be a sell. Like I said, if it breaks down below 130, I'm gone, and I'll take the loss on this. I'm perfectly fine with it. If it starts to chug up, I'll be happy. No, well, that's a stupid way of putting it. Emotions really have nothing to do with this. You'll look at it and you're like, okay, was it a profitable day or was it a bad day? Simple as that. And again, I don't have the TV on. I don't have CNBC on, so I'm really flying blind here. I usually like to do it in the morning from 9:30 to 10 o'clock is when you get your most action. What I've noticed about Palantir is you do get, major movement at that 3 o'clock level. Is this thing bloated? No doubt about it. But do you still have a lot of people who believe in this stock? Yeah, no doubt about it. So let's see if it can get past the $0.50. If it gets past the $0.50, I feel pretty confident it's going to retrace back to 73. And then from 73, I think, I've seen this happen a lot of times where it flushes out and then it just retraces the whole dollar back, which is incredible. You know what I'm saying? A lot of stocks won't do that, but Palantir has got so much. It's almost like a meme stock. It really is. If you look at the way it's been playing over the last 6 months, it really is like a meme stock. The movement on this, the action on this. So that's what you have to be careful with, because like I said, this can just take off and you'll be at 65 cents in a heartbeat. At the same time, it's holding up there. So we want to see if this is going to be able to retake its level and break past 70. So we're getting past 50 already. So, we're not down that much, okay? It's starting to chug back up. It's starting to reclaim back to 73. We're right there. We're only down 1,600. So let's just see if this can reclaim and get back to 131. If it breaks past 131, we're going to definitely be looking at possibly trying to get back to a positive move for the end of the day. That's what we're looking for. So let's see what happens. There's plenty of action going on with this. And you can see, again, if we're going to talk about this, here you got 49 by 52, 46 by 70. You will always see a spread on a stock. Everybody knows that. That's just a given right there. What you collect. And I know a lot of people, they play the smaller stocks, and with those smaller stocks, you're dealing with $1.20 by $1.22, $1.23, whatever it is. Percentage wise, how much are you giving up of your money is astronomical. Okay. So you have to look at that and say, what are you really paying for when you're doing a penny stock or a $2 stock or something like that? How much percentage wise am I giving up in fees? And like I said, it's not that I don't think they should make money. They should make money, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. So, but they should be accurate when they say that, it's the same thing with Robinhood. Robinhood said, oh, we don't charge a fee. And meanwhile, they had all these contractual obligations with people on basically how they were funneling out their trades, who was getting first direction on their trades. And by getting those first directions, that's who was making the money. So that was the difference. And that's where people get hurt on it. But, that's another story for another day. So here we're getting real close. We're at 63. So let's see if it breaks past 73. If it breaks past 73, it'll be a nice trade. We're real close. So, and let's see if we get to that 131 level that I'm hoping for. 64, 65. Come on. And again, this is something. Okay, there we go. We're positive now. That was a huge spike up there. Now it's going to retrace. There's no doubt in my mind that you're going to get a retracement. It's not going to blow through 73 because I'm at 73 and say, oh, yeah, we're making him money. Let's give it to him. 131 is the level that you want to look at. 131 is the one where once it hits 131, then I'll be sitting really good on this stock right now. Right now, I'm at break even again, down $80. Okay. It did hit 73. Okay. So hopefully, like I said, usually when you get a big spike up like that, where it hits 73, 75, usually when you see that, that was just a huge order that went in there. It's a good sign, no two ways around it, but usually it backtracks really fast. So here we got 71 by 70. So let's see if it can break that 73 level. That's what we're hoping for. I mean, it's chewing through it real fast, which is good. That I can say is awesome. See, 73 by 75 in a heartbeat. So you got a few big orders that are trying to pump it through that 73 level. Let's see if it goes. Once it clears this 73 and starts to move above 80, then we should be out of the woods. And that's what we're hoping for. So we're 70 by 71. Come on. It's holding steady. Holding steady. Come on. All right. So right now we're down about $720. 640. And it's right there. Let's see if we can turn a little profit. It doesn't want to go above 74. And that's what I always find that amazing, is like so many times, oh, there we go. We're starting to clear it. We're starting to clear it. But so many times I get into something and it's literally like you almost swear that they know that you're in it, and they're just going to mess around with you the whole time. It's like right at your penny for some unknown reason. It's just that they're holding the line, quote unquote. And that's the part that drives me bananas. So you'll be at 73 and that it just hugs and hugs and hugs. Now I got in at 73 for no apparent reason except for I just wanted to jump into the stock. It wasn't the level at all that I got into it. I just said it looks like it's starting to turn. So when I got into it, it wasn't like, oh yeah, this is a critical level. So that's why I find it amazing when it holds out at 73 that, oh yeah, this is the line in the sand. Makes no sense whatsoever. So we're starting to chug up to 131. If it breaks 131, like I said, I'll be really on a nice run up here because I'm thinking we're going to get $1 out of this thing, and it's starting to move heavy. So we've got to get past 131. That's the level. That's the big critical level where there's a ton of orders sitting on that right now. So if we can get past that 131, that's the most critical level right there. Then we're going to see a nice upward movement. But 131 is what it has to be eclipsed at. So I know it sounds like you're double talking when you say that, but basically you have to remember one thing. A level is resistance until it becomes support, or a level is support until it becomes resistance. And what I mean by that is right now you can see 131 is the resistance. Does it flip over and become the support level? Does it allow for the stock to crash through that and make it now the next support level? If it does, great. If it doesn't, it's going to keep rejecting it. And each time going up, you're going to see less and less and less momentum to try to get it past that. So right there, that was a triple top right there. So right now, you're looking at it. Here you have a triple top. It's touched it 3 times. You could even say 4 times, okay? Now, is this going to be able to make one more run for it? I don't know. Usually with a triple top, you don't want to bet on it that it's going to make another run. But at the same time, I'm going to give this to the $0.50. If this loses out to the $0.50 now I'm going to get out early. Because if it starts dropping down to the $0.50, I don't feel like it's going to retrace at all. So it's right now 77 by 79. I want to see it make one more run up there. If it makes that run up there and breaks it this time, great. If it makes a run up there and gets rejected, I don't feel confident it's going to do it. And like I said, it's got to, and like I said, it was a tremendous topping tail there. So all the signs are basically saying, right to me, it's saying it's going to fade out. That's my gut feeling. And at this point, I'm going to give it to the $0.50 because that's a gut feeling. Okay. So 20 cents, it's not going to kill me. It's $1,600, but it's holding there, So let's see if we get one more run up there. If we get one more run up there and it can break through, great. If it doesn't do it, then at the 50-cent mark, at the $0.50 mark, I'm going to be gone because that's really what I'm looking at. But I'm hoping for that this thing can break up. So it's starting to make its another run. It's at 80 by 82. Let's see if it can still charge up there. It might be running out of steam now. If it starts running out of steam, you're not going to see this thing even get to the 90s anymore. But it's starting to hit the 80s. Let's see if this thing can keep moving up there. This is the action that I like. This is what I'm hoping for. But this is not going to make me any money. This is literally not going to make anybody money right now unless this breaks 131, which is what I'm hoping for it to do. And you just saw a complete flush down to 70. So you're seeing more and more selling pressure on this thing. So at this point, I don't feel confident in the least that this thing is going to break. So what I'm going to do is, let's see if this, I'm hoping it can make one more run to this thing. That's it. If not, I will take the L on this thing on a heartbeat because there's a tremendous amount of selling. Like I said, I'm getting out at 50. That's what I'm getting out at. If this hits the $0.50 mark at 130.50, I'm gone. I'm hoping it can clean out these orders and it can keep trugging up there. But I'm not feeling confident in the least on this thing. Now you're going to say, well, why would you hang around? Well, you know what? You never know. My gut feeling is that, yeah, this is going to fade, and it seems to be fading. And right now, I'm probably going to take the L on this thing. And if I do, I do. There's nothing you can do about it. I was hoping for this thing to go above 131. If it did go above 131, at that point, I'm looking at a nice chunk of change. And here, it's about to hit the $0.50 any second. So, there we go. There we go. Yeah, I think this is gonna flush down. There we go. I'm done. So I lost $2,000, and it is what it is. It broke down to 50, and I don't think it's gonna recover personally. It tried, and like I said, I had a feeling with the triple top. It actually was, with that triple top, it did touch it here, and then it retreated. You've got to call it and say, okay, fine, this is what I'm gonna do. I don't care. Now, like I said, if this thing charges up to above 131, I'm going to be pissed. But you have to have your rules and you have to understand what it is, because the chances of this going back up to 131 are very, very low. Okay, can it happen? Yeah, it can happen. But the chances of this going further down, there's a higher probability of this going further down than going up. That's what you have to understand. You're not a psychic in understanding which way this is going to go. The stock can do anything it wants to do. It can go down, it can go up, it can go sideways, left, right, whatever. But you're going to lose sometimes. But you want to minimize your loss. Now, me getting out at the $0.50, that's a psychological moment for a lot of people. I could have got out, but when it was going up, I was looking at it and saying, yeah, I want to ride this thing out, because if it did break that 131, and it came close, okay? But if it did break that 131, then you're going to be looking at a huge winner. At that point, I would be up $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 minimum. So yeah, this is starting to retreat. It's down to 39. So, every 10 cents that goes by, I save myself $800. That's how I look at it, and so yeah, it's starting to retreat. Let's see if it breaks down to this level right here. That's where we want to see if it's going to break down to that level right there. If it does, then we're going to see a nice flush down. And some people are like, well, why don't you short it now? Well, I never felt comfortable shorting it, to be honest with you. So here you're seeing a fade on it, and I was bullish on it. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, I lost money on it. I was bullish on it, but overall, like I said, it happens. So you dust yourself off, and you come back to fight another day. Simple as that. But my trade is over. Mentally, it's over. I've closed out the trade, and I've got to look at tomorrow and see what's the opportunity that's going to make me money tomorrow. It's not a good opportunity right now. I would be guessing one way or the other. So I have to pretty much look at it and say, yeah, my job's over here. I didn't make money on my business. I lost the opportunity. That's, I think, the biggest problem with traders is that they always think that there's another opportunity they can make money off of, or they can recoup it. And yet, sometimes you can, no doubt about it. But the biggest problem is that when you go in there and you're like, oh, it's turning now, it's turning now, it's turning now. Nah, it's not turning now. You know what I'm saying? So you have to look at every trade as a finite piece of information, and when it's done, it's done. So that's my trade for the day. I don't know where this is going to finish. This is 3:38 p.m. right now, and here on the 4th, June 4th, not July 4th. And hey, this might make a nice run up there, but it is what it is. All right, thanks.